All right, happy birthday, Ignite. Let's talk about sex on your 21st birthday. I'm Helen, and I'm going to talk about the birds and the bees. Well, really, how culture can impact teen sexual health. So to begin, I'm going to take you back, and Andrew, this is for you. So think back to this. How did your culture, the adults in your life, your peers, your attitudes and values impact this? We're going to take this a bit further through the tale of two teens. First, this American gal received no comprehensive sex ed in school. She just got the anatomy lesson, here's how it works kind of thing. Her parents never talk about sex and fear that if they do so, she'll have sex like all those other crazy teenagers. The adults in her life convey these messages. Her parents don't allow her to be home alone with her long-term boyfriend because they definitely don't want anything happening under their roof. Teen love isn't real love, they say. Yet, her culture is giving her a different message. The media sells and sensationalizes sex. She buys lots of jeans. And her values and attitudes start to shift. Her music and her magazines teach her about the pleasurable aspects. She begins to feel a little confused. She's unsure of where to turn when she has questions about contraception, communication, whatever it is. Her peers usually tell her how it is. So her first sexual experience occurred here. Raise your hand if no, don't really. She, like many of her peers, wishes she would have waited longer or communicated better. American culture conveys sex as this overwhelming force that turns teens into vampires on the prowl. Vampire face. Females are victimized, males are hormone-driven, and there is a clear separation between family and sex. Let's look at a different story. This Dutch teen has received comprehensive sex ed. She has information on contraception, communication. She talks about sex openly with her family. Her parents tell her that sex is normal. It's part of a committed relationship, the importance of waiting till you're ready, and how she should communicate to establish boundaries and express her needs. Her first sexual experience occurred in her lovely little Dutch home. Her parents told her that when she was ready, her long-term boyfriend could have a sleepover. They recognized she was in love, and they inquired about her plans for contraception. She regularly turns to the adults in her life with questions that she has about her body, readiness, and communication, and they openly talk about these things with her, sometimes much to her embarrassment, especially at the dinner table. Dutch culture normalizes sexuality. They believe that teens must identify and develop the resources they need to navigate their relationships and identify their readiness and sexual identity. So, can these two cultural approaches really impact sexual health outcomes? Despite significant improvements, US teens are still 8 times as likely to become pregnant and 4 times as likely to have babies than their Dutch counterparts. And are those crazy American teenagers really having sex earlier? Public health data demonstrates this is not the case. In fact, Americans are slightly below the global average, a little higher than the Dutch, and we're looking really good compared to Iceland. It's cold there. There's hot springs. I don't know. So by failing to think about sexuality as a non-problematic, non-emotionally disruptive, and a relationship-based phenomenon, we miss the opportunity to empower teens. Further, we are the only developed nation whose government tells us who we can marry, what a woman's reproductive rights are, and what we teach about sex in school. Is it purely a coincidence that we have the worst sexual health outcomes? We know that an individual and culture's values, attitudes, and beliefs impact health behavior. And as illustrated by the tale of two teens, by failing to recognize sexuality as a normal part of development and relationships, we only emphasize the negative. And while the negative does need attention, so do the positive and pleasurable aspects as well. So by promoting the positive to teens, maybe we can change some of these sexual health outcomes. So Ignite, I propose that we leave the birds and the bees to the gardening clubs, and we start talking about sex, not just selling it. We embrace diversity, and we provide future generations with the resources and skills they need. Thanks for having me.